Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Making It in Manhattan. If you love vintage shopping as much as I do, which I'm pretty sure you do, you are going to love today's guest. Her name is Julia Rabinowitsch, and she is the person behind the iconic Instagram account, The Millennial Decorator, which features vintage shoe drops from Chanel to Manolo to Dior. I've bought a few pairs and I am just obsessed with her account. She founded it in 2020 and she sources vintage pieces from Paris, London, pretty much everywhere. And I cannot wait to chat with her because she's kind of like a hidden face behind such an iconic shoe account. So let's get started. So I'm here with Julia. Thank you so much for joining me today on Making It in Manhattan.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. It's like such a dream.
Guys, as I mentioned, I am obsessed with Julia's Instagram, The Millennial Decorator. But first off, I just want you to introduce yourself because on her Instagram, she sells the most stunning and incredible vintage designer shoes. But we don't get to see your face a lot. So funny enough, guys, this is one of the first times I'm actually seeing her in person because it's all about the shoes. So can you just introduce yourself, tell us about yourself and all the fun things?
Of course. It's funny. I introduced myself to you the other night.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if you'd know my face, but I'm Julia. I was born and raised in LA. I'm 27, and I guess I'm the feet behind the Millennial Decorator.
Yes.
Because you don't really see my face often.
Mm-mm.
And I've just come here for Fashion Week. I just did 3 shows and the shoes for 3 shows. But normally in my day-to-day life, I run a vintage decor and shoe account.
Mm-hmm.
Most people know us today for our shoes.
Yes.
And it's really fun.
Yeah, that's how I first discovered you. I must have just been scrolling on Instagram or on my Discover page, and I saw shoes, and I was like, what
Game
is
over.
this? I followed right away, have bought several pairs, and now I'm obsessed. So I'm just so excited to chat with you today and
Me
ask you
too.
tons of questions. So my next question is just, where did you go to college and what did you study?
So I never left LA. I've been
Mhm.
in LA my whole entire life. I went to USC
Mhm.
in downtown LA.
Mhm.
And I studied communications because I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do with my life. And I thought that the study of communications encompassed a lot of what I liked.
Mhm.
Pop culture, social media, entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
And that program was really centered around the study of pop culture. And I think
Yeah.
it's kind of relevant to what I do today.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then where did your love for interiors and fashion, where did that come from?
I like to say it's in me. It's in the depth of my soul, kind of like
I
you.
love that.
It
Yes.
doesn't.
Yeah, it's born in you.
It's more than just a passion.
Yeah.
My grandma in Latvia was one of the first milliners, which was a hat maker in
No
Latvia.
way.
And she made hats for the aristocracy of Latvia before they left. And my mom was a fashion importer. She worked with Sandro and Maget before I was born and was
wow.
importing fashion from Paris to Los
Wow,
Angeles.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and she exposed me to the world of fashion very, very young.
Mm-hmm.
At 4 years old, she was taking me to FITM's graduating class exhibitions that they would have on display. And fashion has just been a part of my life since I was really little.
Yeah, it's been in your blood.
It's been in the blood.
And so you've just always known you wanted to get into fashion, or has it always been something you thought about? Even when you studied communications in college, were you thinking maybe this will lead me to the fashion industry?
I never did anything to it's funny because the types of things that I tried to get me into the fashion world never worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Interviewed at Condé Nast probably 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Never got the job.
Okay.
Showed up at the Condé Nast offices in LA, resume in hand.
You.
No one responded to me. So I tried my hardest for years and it never really worked, but it was always a passion deep inside. I would study, I'd go to school and do the types of things that I, would give me an education.
Yeah.
But it's not like I was going to FITM and setting myself up to work in the world of fashion. It was more of an kind of an unspeakable dream.
Yeah, that you just hoped would happen. And
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's beautiful to hear you talk about like the persistency of like showing up at Condé Nast with your resume. Like that's such like a vibe and thing I talk about here on the podcast of like being persistent, not giving up. Like that's so part of the like making it a Manhattan way.
Yeah. It's like something a New Yorker would do.
Yes.
Like, in
oh
LA.
my gosh. That's like
LA,
very not
like,
LA to me. I'm
no.
like, what?
They were like, who are you? What are you here for? I'm like, I just want to give my resume to someone.
Like in New York, they would have probably passed it along to someone.
Yeah.
LA. Like, I don't know.
God knows what happened.
Where it actually ended up.
God knows.
Oh my gosh.
But it's okay.
Very hills. Very the hills.
Very the hills.
Lauren Conrad.
Yeah.
And then you, I mean, you have such a chic style. Like, we're very different. But like we work so well together. If you guys are watching the video, like our outfits are pretty much coordinated, and we didn't even do this on purpose. But could you describe to me like your design and fashion style?
I think for me, these days it's timeless and chic. It's something that I can wear 100 different ways. Pair with sneakers, pair with heels, dress it up, dress it down. Like packing for Fashion Week, I just packed my staples. I didn't put outfits together because I knew that last minute I can just throw something.
How many bags did you pack?
I packed one carry-on of clothes.
That's it? No suitcase.
And one suitcase of shoes.
Of shoes. But you were doing like
but they weren't
pop-up
mine.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So really, guys, she actually only came to Fashion Week with a carry-on, which is like insane.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Pack light. But yeah, I think today it's timeless chic. A few years ago, before all of this, I was like the girl that was shopping at Zara and buying like maybe one or two trendy items. And then one day I woke up and I was like, I've had it. I can't keep doing this, like feeding into mass consumerism. Totally. I'm only buying vintage from here on out, like any event vintage, and I only want to buy timeless pieces because these pieces don't really last. They don't sustain me. They're not going to be with me for the rest of my life. No. Like I'm wearing something probably from the 90s.
I love it.
And it's probably going to be with me for the next 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I feel you on that. Even though I wear a lot of color, I love vintage, and I think picking up pieces that you think you'll have forever are very important because we don't need as much.
No, and listen, like I'll still buy from Zara today,
totally,
like if I'm going in for a staple, but I'm just looking at it a little bit differently. I'm like asking myself before I'm just buying anything.
Yeah, and so with this like vintage mindset, like you one day kind of like had this light bulb moment where you changed everything. Like what then inspired you to start the Millennial Decorator, and like how did you come up with the name? How did it all come about?
Everyone asks me, they're like, I have to ask, where is the name from? But it'll make sense now. So I started it in like the dark ages of 2020, like the dark times of the pandemic. I was literally on unemployment. I had lost my job. I had no idea what I wanted to do, where I was going, anything. And I just needed a creative outlet. I was like the girl in high school that like spent lunch in the art classes. Like I'm a creative person and I didn't have that. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to start an Instagram account that could kind of just be a place for people in my general demographic that wanted first and foremost to decorate their lives in kind of a sustainable and unique way. And my answer to that was vintage. So I first and foremost wanted to show people how I had decorated my house using vintage pieces that I found to be unique, sustainable, and how I was doing that. And then
so just furniture first.
So just my house. Like I wasn't selling anything. I just wanted to show people.
Just an inspiration page.
Yeah.
And it was your house and
my house.
Your home during the pandemic.
Literally, because I wasn't leaving. So, and then BLM started, and like I kind of used it as a place where I wanted to highlight what was going on in the general, like larger design industry and any sort of inconsistencies that I saw. And I continued kind of just having it be an outlet for me. And then one day I randomly bought these vintage Hermes jars on eBay.
Okay.
There were like 6 of them. They were beautiful. You'd like them. They had like a
Yeah.
glass base, and then the top was plastic, and it had the gold Hermes logo on top.
Oh my gosh, beautiful.
And I had used it for some time to put like little trinkets in.
Love.
And I put it on my story like, does anyone want these? Because I have 6 of them. And they flew. They were gone in like an hour.
Wow.
And at that point
I was going to say, what was like your community like then? Like,
it wasn't. I had like maybe 300, 500 followers. But I realized,
wow, you're like, there's something here.
There's something there. And
wow.
people wanted to get their hands on these items that I may have had in my home that were unique and vintage.
Yeah.
And so I came up with the idea to do vintage homeware drops.
Okay.
And this is still like 2020, 2021. And I started with like an ashtray drop, a coffee table book drop, and like a few others of only vintage goods.
Okay.
And from there, it kind of like slowly started growing a little bit more and more. And my favorite part was like photographing and styling everything.
Okay.
Which is still evident, I think,
oh my gosh,
today.
yeah, your photos are what drew me in.
Yeah.
Like, I saw probably like a photo of literally like legs and feet, which was probably you, now looking back, of like stunning shoes. And like, though I'm a maximalist, I can really still appreciate like a very just like beautiful photo of like a girl like running with like a vintage pair of Chanel flats. And I'm like, chic. Like,
Yes.
I loved it. So really, I mean, you are so good at styling and like creating this imagery on the page.
It's my favorite part, truly, and curating. But from there, I was doing homeware drops, and then just personally in my life, I'd bought 2 pairs of Chanel mules. It was the first time I'd bought vintage heels.
Okay.
They were black, and then I also had a pair of beige and black ones, and they had little bows and a thick heel.
So cute. Where did you find them?
Originally, those I had found on Poshmark, I think both pairs.
Okay.
And from there, I realized I wasn't wearing them. And if I'm not wearing something in my closet, I'm either selling it or I'm donating it.
Okay.
And randomly, I had put on my Instagram a picture of the shoes. And I was like, should we do a clothing drop one of these days? And also at this point, I hadn't had a ton of followers at this point either.
Okay.
But the followers that I did have kindly like encouraged me and were commenting like, yes, do it. And so it was the same idea that, okay, now I'm going to move into clothing and fashion, which is really like a big, big love of mine. It always have been.
Yeah.
And I came up with the idea to do an only vintage shoe drop. Because I didn't want to do clothes. I didn't find that it would be inclusive enough of different sizes. You know, like I'd source one knit Ralph Lauren top and it would fit one person.
Yes, absolutely. Where shoes fit
everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone. And so I had launched my first drop in, I think, April of 2021.
Okay.
And it had like 9 pairs of shoes. And my friend Josh came to photograph, my friend Pia came to model, and my friend Kylie came to style. And it blew up from there.
Well, that's just crazy because that was so organic.
Very.
You started with interiors, which is just like what you loved and was your house, and then started with like little things here and there, like, oh, I just bought these jars, so I'm just gonna sell the extra ones because I don't need them. I think you being a minimalist also, just like, not even in just style, guys, like in your wardrobe and in your life, like, I think that really helped as well, because you're like, well, if I'm not using it, I'm gonna get rid of it.
Yeah.
And then you posted about it, and then literally it has led. And guys, when I say her drops are like magic, they literally go so fast. And the way Julia and I like really became friends now is because the first ever drop I tried to buy something from, I was ready. I had alarms set, like ready to go. And then I went on right as it like opened up. I couldn't get a single thing. Like everything sold out so fast. And I was devastated. And then I DM'd you, like I replied to a story. I was like, I did, like, you wrote something like, yeah, it's already sold out, everyone. And I was like, yeah, I wasn't prepared for that or something. Like, I didn't get anything. And you were like, wait, I'm so sorry. And then, like, the next drop, she gave me, like, a sneak peek. But literally, when I say, like, the demand is high and the girlies are wild, like,
they're ready.
I didn't know what I was prepared for, like, with a drop like that, like a vintage shoe drop, because I buy designer bags a lot, and, like, I don't think there's anyone aside from you that I could think of that does designer vintage shoe drops, really. So, like, and so beautifully. Like, you are in high demand.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not even that quick. I'm like, kudos to the girlies that are buying.
So quick. I was like
so overwhelmed.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, because also I didn't, like, I saw everything and then I wanted to, like, go back and look just, like, real quick still. But by the time I went to the next thing and went back to the first thing I wanted, gone. So
yeah,
she's so modest and humble, but, like, these drops are, like, in very high demand, and these vintage, like, she is, like, curating, like, pure magic. So once you decided, so okay, so you start the Millennial Decorator, and the name is just because you're a millennial and it was interiors, essentially.
It's very simple. People don't understand
even
that
now,
it's that
because at
simple.
first when I found it, I was only seeing shoes.
Yeah.
So I was like,
how does it relate?
Yeah, like, oh, why is it called that? Like,
yeah, I guess it's still relevant because now I'm decorating your closet. So
yes, oh my gosh, and decorating your life, like, just
like the tagline it's turned into.
Yes,
yeah.
And I feel like, I mean, we can get to this, but, like, eventually maybe you do go back into interiors, like, build your community and your, you know, following with shoes, because that's what the girlies are loving and everyone's loving. But maybe, you know, down the road you go back into interiors a little bit.
I welcome any ideas.
Yeah,
I mean, usually our shoe drops have, like, a few homeware pieces that I'm putting on as well, but it's definitely taken a back seat.
The shoes are like,
the
shoes are the I don't even know what, the spotlight, the magic, like, everyone's obsessed.
And I don't mind. I'm obsessed. I love them. I have so much fun.
No, I have so much fun watching you. So once you decide to, now you start the brand, then you venture into shoes. But so, like, what did the process then look like to get to where you are today? So you do your first shoe drop.
Yep.
It goes great. But obviously, like, you then feel pressure. Like, you need to buy more stock. You need to do another drop. You need to source more pieces. Like, what was then, like, the process, like, after that first successful shoe drop to then build your brand into what it is now?
I think I've blacked out, honestly. I think after that I just blacked out, and here I am.
Yeah, it sometimes it feels like that. Like, you blink and it's just,
and I'm here. But so after that initial shoe drop, there was just a ton of interest, and I was like, okay, like, that's what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Let me continue looking. And from there on, I continued sourcing vintage shoes and like kept my drops, and still today they're pretty much the same size or amount of pairs. I poured everything that I was making back into the business, which I'm still doing.
So beautiful.
Because when I started shoes, vintage shoes were one price, and now that they've blown up, they're a lot more expensive.
Totally.
So I still pour a lot of what I make back into the business. And from there on, it blew up, and I was like, okay, let's continue doing this. Yeah. Let's continue theming these drops. I definitely today feel like I'm structuring my drops still, and from the very first one, it was the same, to have a very timeless nature to them. So even though you're a maximalist and even though I'm a minimalist, we're both loving the shoes.
Oh my gosh, love.
And you know you can wear them forever with a million things, and I know I can wear them forever with a million things. So I still very much so try to keep the same kind of cadence to what I'm curating. And I'm very lucky today to have seen the business really grow. And I feel like I was the first one that kind of did this.
I still think you are. Like, I really don't see many just vintage shoe sellers. Like, you see bags a lot and vintage bag drops, but you really don't see shoes.
No, and I like it. I like the little niche that I'm in, and there's a lot of different, now I see different kind of vintage accounts doing similar things, but everyone has their own take on it too, which is fun.
Of course.
Some girlies are curating the Dior and like the colorful shoes.
Yeah.
I'm curating like a lot of Chanel's and timeless shoes, but it's interesting to see for sure.
Yeah. And how often do you do the drops usually? By
the time I'm curating, shooting, putting things on the website, it's usually about a month and a half.
Okay. Yeah, and I think once a month and a half, like, it builds the excitement for sure, because the drops sell so fast, so then you have to wait for the next one. It's like,
I know.
Like, the excitement just, and the demand builds and everything. I know. And can you tell us, like, how you go about then, like, creating a new collection for a drop? Like, do you pick a theme and then you start shopping on a theme, or do you find maybe, like, a pair of shoes and then you're like, ooh, it's going to be, like, pink theme? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, usually it starts with one pair or two pairs, and then I'll say, okay, there's like a color theme here. There's a stylistic theme here. Let me continue looking for shoes. Usually I'm looking and sourcing for something very specific. Like I know exactly what I'm looking for, and I'm just either putting the colors together, putting the styles together, and then coming up for my shoot with a theme around that. So for some reason this summer I was sourcing a lot of pink Chanel. And it coincided really nicely with the Barbie movie.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, and so of course some of my imagery like related to the Barbie movie and the verbiage around it too. But usually it's all very like timeless shoes, and then I'm either styling it in one way and like theming it in one way, or like this past summer I did a lot of themed posts around like summer travel and what shoes you're bringing.
That's so perfect.
And so that's usually what I'm working
guys,
on.
The white Chanel loafers that I feel like have gotten a lot of love on my page recently. They are from the Millennial Decorator. I love them so much. And for me, maximalist, but they're white. Well, off-white, like a creamy color.
They're cream. They're like
but
this
they
color.
go with everything. So for me, I can wear my super bright, colorful looks, but then that shoe is like the perfect cherry on top.
And of course you get like the most unique ones. Like, guys, I've never gotten this loafer in before, this color before.
And of course
they go to you.
Yeah, that's the one I pick. She's like, so which pair do you like? I'm like, I really like this and this. And then I was like, I saw a close-up picture. I was like, oh yeah, like those loafers are like perfect. And I love a loafer with a sock.
There's no one else I would have wanted them to go.
No,
more
and
than
that's what started our beautiful friendship.
Truly, shoes.
And this is a question like I'm just dying to ask. Like, what's the actual like sourcing process like?
These days it's like herding cats. Like I'm just like, okay, what can I source? It's nice because I'm not looking for as many vintage shoes as possible. I'm looking for things very specifically. So these days it's a mix of me searching on my own through various different ways, either in person, online. I also have the luxury of working, or the privilege of working, with vintage dealers around the world. So some of my shoes come from like Paris, London, Rome. They come from it's literally like herding cats from around the world.
That's so cool.
Really cool. And then a tertiary thing, which is really nice, which started happening this year, is that people will DM me and be like, my grandma's getting rid of these, or my mom wants to sell these. Do you want them? And they'll send me all these pictures.
A dream.
And it's really great because they're beautiful shoes, and I'll buy them.
How cute is that?
It's really wholesome.
I love that, because if someone has like a beautiful vintage pair of Chanel heels and they're just like, I don't want them to just go anywhere. Like, you take care of your things, and I feel like also the community you've built, like, they appreciate vintage designer shoes specifically.
Yeah.
So it's going to a good place, to a good home. Like, it's not just gonna sit in a closet and not be worn. Like, I'm very much so like, I want the shoes to like have an adventure. Yeah.
I always say I want them to have like a second life.
Yeah.
And people ask me all the time too, like, how do you not keep everything? And I'm like, because I know they're going to someone that loves them even more than I do.
Yeah.
Like, that to me brings me a lot of joy.
Oh my gosh, totally. And sometimes I feel like it can be hard for vintage sellers, like, to let go of things, because you're like, oh, but at least it's shoes. Like, if it's not your size, you're like, I can't keep it anyway. Yeah. But clothing and stuff, like, I remember I was at this vintage market in Brooklyn, and I bought this vintage feather boa from this one seller, and she was super cute. She's like, oh, this is my favorite piece. And I was like, if you don't want to sell it, you don't have to. Like, I won't take it from you. It's totally fine. She's like, she didn't know who I was or anything, but she was like, you just look so cool. She's like, I know it's going to go to a good home. I was like, I promise it will get a second life. And I wear it. I just wore it for Fashion Week too. So like, the boa gets a second life. It doesn't just sit in the closet as like a display piece, though it is fun for that. It's good to give the vintage a second life.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. I said that somewhere. I was like, I'm a firm believer in giving, like, only buying something you yourself are saying, like, okay, I'm going to give a second life to this, or a 50th life to this, or whatever in the world of vintage. Yeah, we always say
second, but, like, it could be, it's, like, 50th,
shoes,
5th, 7th, like, life. Forget
shoes,
it.
You never know. Like, I would have loved to know the story behind some of these shoes.
No.
I did just source one of Kim Kardashian's old pair of Manolos.
Stop. How did that come about?
I don't remember. I mean, it came from a dealer who told me they were from Kim Kardashian.
You have to go find, like, pictures online or
something. Of her and them.
With the drop.
My friend ended up getting them, and she now calls them her lucky shoes. So maybe Kim has some magic.
Hey,
you never know.
Her business has been going good, so I'm not questioning it.
Yeah.
So I know you can't give away your secrets, but can you please tell me and everyone listening just one spot where you source vintage shoes from, like actually get them from, because we need to know. The girlies need the secrets.
I know, you're getting such an exclusive right now.
I know. I've been dying to talk to you all week.
I would say one place that has been great is eBay. Specifically, like, my personal watch came from eBay. Shoes come from eBay sometimes, especially if they're from Japan. I will say Japan has really, really strong counterfeit laws. So the likelihood that you're buying something authentic from Japan on eBay is very high for people that are nervous or like are specifically looking for vintage shoes. Japanese sellers on eBay is the place to go. And they have great vintage picks too, and like in great condition, whether it's shoes, bags, watches. I've gotten all of the above from eBay. So definitely, I can do like a whole video on like tips to eBay. eBay is a great place.
I mean, I'm an eBay girly for my bags a lot. I get a lot of vintage bags on eBay, but I've never done really shoes or things like that because I just was never sure, like, but now that you're saying, like, look for the sellers from Japan and stuff, I'm gonna be texting you, like, what do you think?
I'll give
what do
you
you think
about
this seller? Yeah, what do you think about this seller? Does this look good? I'm gonna be bothering you at any, like, midnight.
Please do. There's one, I think it's called, like, Moonshine, maybe. In Japan, and I don't know, that name could be completely wrong, but they have great bags, good shoes, and it's funny because I never get bags from eBay. I haven't had luck. The bags that have gone on eBay have been like peeling inside sometimes. To each their own.
Okay, so we'll have to exchange notes after this. I'll give you the bag down low and you give me the shoe insider information.
Great.
Okay, done.
Can't wait.
I wanted you to tell me a little bit about watches too, because you recently just expanded into like a watch drop.
I just did my first watch collaboration with Girls O'Clock. She's so cute. She does like a lot of educational videos around watches.
I love that.
And I love watches personally. I never grew up with watches. My mom wears a watch, like a beautiful watch, but it's from like Ross. Like, watches were never part of my upbringing.
Yes, definitely.
And I became obsessed with them. But yeah, we just did our first watch collaboration. We had 10 watches, all like luxury watches, Cartier and all the big names. And watches are really fun. I don't know how much more I'll get into them just because it's a big liability.
Absolutely. Did they sell as fast as the shoes, or was it a little slower because they were so luxury?
Surprisingly, and I'd never done anything at that price point before, so I had no clue how it was going to go. Surprisingly, like on the dot, once we dropped, 4 or 5 of the watches sold immediately.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was the same idea that like we really wanted the watches to be timeless in nature, that it was going to be this heirloom piece that you passed on, similarly to shoes. And I think people really felt that, and people continuously feel that, and they're drawn to that.
Yeah, I mean, a good watch is, I mean, it's like a nice ring or a piece of jewelry that you pass down from generations to generations and family.
I don't need anything else.
That is gorgeous.
Thank you.
I literally love that watch.
Thank you, likewise.
She's wearing, like, it's Cartier, right?
Cartier Benoit, and I just replaced the strap. That's another thing, too, that people don't realize. If you're looking for a vintage watch, whether it's on eBay working with a dealer, and it has, like, an ugly strap on it, you can always switch the strap out. This came with, like, a hideous purple strap, and now it's, like, stunning. Exactly what I wanted.
I think that's a good thing to keep in mind, because sometimes you don't think about, like, oh, yeah, I can customize this.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's not exactly what I want, especially with a watch. Because, like, a pair of shoes, you're not going to, like, whatever, take off the heel and redo it. But, like, a watch, you really can customize it to make it your own.
Yeah. I mean, even shoes, too. I think part of the reason that I attract people is that even with shoes, sometimes I'm playing around. I'm adding a ribbon.
Yes, wait.
I'm
need
switching
to talk
something
about
out.
So today she's wearing these Chanel pumps, but you added a ribbon to them.
I added a ribbon because they weren't staying on. And I've done that with Manolos. I've even cut off the leather little straps of Manolos and replaced it with like a satin ribbon.
I love it.
And it's really fun. People really love it.
I mean, the ribbon looks so seamless. It looks like it came like that.
I know.
Which is beautiful. You're inspiring me. I want a
Thank
TikTok
you.
video of you.
I want a TikTok video of you.
It. Oh my God. We will do TikToks together, but I want a video of you tying ribbons on shoes.
Okay.
Because I want to see how you do it exactly, because I'm so spastic. So, like, I'll be, like, trying to tie it around, and, like, it just won't look the same like that.
Perfect. I'll make one just for you. I'll
Oh my
dedicate
gosh.
it to you.
Stop. Pink. We got to do pink.
Oh, obviously. Next bright pair of pinkish shoes. We'll collaborate.
Please. And so you also recently sourced all of the shoes for TikToker Emily Mariko's wedding.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, like, how that came about and what that was like?
Yeah. I mean, so the way it came about was Marcelo Gaia, who owns and operates and is the designer of Mir Palais, which is a stunning brand, women's wear brand, that makes beautiful clothes. He brought me on. He was doing all of her looks for the wedding, and I was very honored because he asked me to come on and do the shoes for each of his looks that he was creating for her. And contrary to belief on TikTok, he made all of her looks. I think she had 5 different looks.
Wow.
And they were stunning. He sparked like a bridal movement, and they were just beyond. But Emily and I had the privilege of working with Emily as well. It was about a 5-month process, and we sourced her wedding shoe looks for all of her bridal looks. And
that's so fun.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I'm still waiting for her to post all the photos because it was just stunning. And we paired each of her shoes to the looks, and they were all very classic bridal shoes, similarly to her bridal looks. And we had to, like, took some searching because
definitely.
we wanted very specific things. So we got her like a pair of these off-white Chanel slingbacks with a little bow on them, a pair of white beautiful Chanel flats, a pair of Tom Ford for Gucci little bow strap heels. And then I also did all of her bridesmaids too.
You did? Oh my gosh. I need to see photos. Like, I
know.
saw a little bit, and that's how I
know.
knew about it. You must have, or she tagged something.
Yeah.
But from what I did see, it was so beautiful.
It was beautiful. The people that I worked with for all of it are stunning inside and out. Emily is a beautiful person, and she was a beautiful bride, and I was really honored to be a part of the whole process. It really meant a lot. It's a big deal.
Yeah, I feel like that could be a whole nother, like, business for you, is like people hiring you for like a special occasion event, bridal or a red carpet or something, and being like, I really want a specific vintage kind of shoe look.
Yeah.
And you sourcing those.
Well, that is. So I do source for people.
Tell us all about it.
I get requests all the time being like, I saw you sold this, or hey, I'm looking for this. Can you source this for me? Nice. I have, after that, I have had a lot of brides ask me for help with their wedding shoes. Yeah, which is really, really,
I love that.
It means a lot to be a part of that process for people.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I work with a lot of I have a privilege of working with a lot of amazing stylists that pull from me for special occasions and red carpets and events. And usually they're looking for something very specific. So, and usually I have it. So
yeah, and it's so exciting that it's growing beyond just the drops.
Absolutely.
So quickly too.
For me, that's like the most exciting part, like working with individuals, seeing people individually that have bought something from a drop, that are styling it, that are posting about it, working with designers, like that's a dream come true for me. Like that's,
and it's just gonna keep growing. Like this
I
is
hope.
just the beginning. Like,
I
this
hope.
is so exciting, and it's just so great to see because you're so passionate about it and you have a natural eye for it. Like I didn't even know that you were styling all the photos and like you do everything.
Well, I have help from styling perspective. I have help. My friend Kylie comes and styles a lot, which is great. But yeah, I mean, like the creative direction behind the photos, the bins that I just did, the little travel bins were really fun for me. So
I love it.
It's really fun.
I'm always like saving your photos. I'm like, oh my god, that's such a beautiful image. Like really, they're like very Pinterest worthy.
Thank you.
I don't know if you're on Pinterest, but I feel like the photos would be going viral on Pinterest.
Yeah, the first time I saw a photo of mine on Pinterest, I was like,
you're like, that's mine.
Yeah, I like scrolled past it and I went back up. I'm like, oh my god, that's a photo of mine. But
wild.
It's wild. It's wild.
To see how it's grown. And then who has been your biggest inspiration or mentor in your career so far?
I've had a lot. It like almost makes me emotional talking about it because the amount of like genuine support that I've received from individuals I look up to so much is
you're like getting teary.
I know it like it makes me emotional. It like has really meant a lot to me.
Such a sweetheart.
Even people like you that like have given me opportunities to talk about what I do and like post about me and share the like we walked around a party the other night and you're like, this is Julia. She's the vintage shoes. And like so it's meant a lot because I've had a lot of really amazing support. Definitely working with people like Marcelo Gaia from Mira Palais or Matilda Jur from Durf Avenue. Like these are individuals that have consistently given me opportunities and brought me on to things when they easily could have not, but you know, are passionate about sustainability. They're passionate about helping others and highlighting others and continuously include me in things, and it means a lot. So.
I'm always here to be your cheerleader.
Thank you.
Literally the other night at the party, I was like, if you don't follow her, you need to. Seriously.
Parading me around.
They need to, I mean, they don't need to buy the shoes that are my size, but they need to buy your shoes because they're so amazing. You know, I don't want everyone to be stealing my shoes, but seriously, your stuff is so incredible. And tell me, you quickly mentioned Matilda. Love her. Like I know you worked on something recently with her. What was that about?
She just did her first fashion show here for Durf Avenue.
So exciting.
In the Guggenheim. And beautiful. I felt very honored to be a part of it.
Did you do all the shoes?
We worked together to do the shoes for her beautiful creations. She reworked all of her pieces using reworked fabrics and came out with these stunning designs and had an amazing, iconic fashion show at the Guggenheim.
Oh my gosh. And what other shows did you work on that you did the shoes for?
I did Marcelo's Mira Palais as well.
Amazing.
They had a beautiful,
you were
stunning... Busy. I'm like coming off the tails of this week. I haven't even processed anything.
Yeah.
But Marcelo from Mira Palais also came out with a stunning collection. And then I also did a few shows for Bucci.
Cool.
Which is another amazing designer.
Oh my gosh, so you've just been busy.
Busy.
And then you're coming off a very busy time, but are there any other projects or things that, you know, you're working on that you want to tell us about or that you can tell us about?
So another thing about me is I don't really plan in advance. I just do kind of what my heart tells me to and what comes about. But I will say I am working on something inspired by the city.
Ooh,
that's all I'll say. But it's a really exciting one for me. And it's a slow process.
Okay.
But it's going to be iconic when it comes out.
Okay. That's all I need to hear. Something inspired by New York City. Sign me up.
Yeah. I might have to fly back to shoot it. We'll see.
My gosh. Let me know.
We'll see.
I'll be on set helping you.
You'll be my model.
Oh my gosh. I'll do whatever you want. Seriously. I would be there in a second. Okay. Part 2, guys. Stay tuned for that. No, this has been incredible. And so then I ask everyone the same last question on my podcast. So this podcast is called Making It in Manhattan.
Yes.
What would you say so far has been your Making It in Manhattan moment in your career where you felt a moment that you've really made it?
I would say this. Like it's like being here for me, being a part of Fashion Week, like that was an unspeakable dream to me. Yeah. It literally brought me to Manhattan. It brought me to New York City. This is my second year that I've had the privilege of being here, working with designers and being a part of their shows and their projects and working with the types of individuals and creators that I look up to and admire in so many different ways. This was a dream come true for me, and it still is. Like, I cannot believe I'm here. I cannot believe that I've had the privilege of working with the individuals that I have been, and you know, the people that support me really mean a lot, and those are the people that brought me here. So this.
And it's just the beginning for you, girl.
Thank you.
This is just the beginning.
Thank you. I can't wait. Can't wait.
So, Julia, thank you so much for being here today. Guys, we had so much fun chatting. I cannot wait for her next drop, and I'm going to be on eBay later looking at all the designer vintage. Julia, thank you so much for joining us.
Me. Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
You've been so incredible. So, guys, leave us a comment, send us questions for future episodes, and we will see you guys soon. Bye.